Hello and welcome to Common Ground, an inside look at Suffolk County. I'm your host, Sheriff Steve Tompkins. Now, you know, one of the best things about doing this program on a week-to-week basis is that I get to meet and talk to some of the most extraordinary people doing some really extraordinary things. And to that end, my first guest today is Miss Juliette Kayyem, spelled with two Y's, of course, who is running for governor of this Commonwealth. And I've had an opportunity to see her out on the stump doing her thing, and she truly is extraordinary. She's got some really good ideas, she's got good vision, and she's going to have some really insightful things to tell us today. So do stay close to your television and listen closely. Juliette, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. Let's get all of the business out the way. First and foremost, why are you running for governor?
Well, like most people, I believe in government and its capacity to do good for everyone. I also believe government can always do better. I mean, there's no finish line for the state that we're always becoming. That a welcoming state, a state that where everyone belongs to our common mission, a state that views the challenges of today as also providing opportunities for the future. And the obligation of the next generation of leadership is to just keep pushing. And so it's a very exciting campaign, mostly because I think people are, they know we have problems, systemic problems that we need to ensure we solve, but also a state like ours that we have the capacity to also fix them.
Now, what's your background? Tell our viewers.
So I have a career that spans a number of major issues that are important for the next governor. So I started off as a civil rights attorney. The Governor Patrick, was Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division, hired me straight out of law school. I litigated cases of equal opportunity, desegregation cases, Title IX cases, opening up military institutions to women. A lot of people who have followed my career know I've been very active in opening up doors in the military for women. Later on, I got into public safety and security issues, Homeland Security, served as the state's first Homeland Security, Undersecretary for Homeland Security and the governor's Homeland Security Advisor, as well as then later serving for President Obama as Assistant Secretary for Homeland Security. And people sort of don't know what Homeland Security means. It's really a way to think about our homes and our communities, about safety and security and And as you know, risk reduction. It's about changing our criminal justice system that works for all of our communities, or climate change, or crime, or drugs, or guns, and making government work across the silos, across 351 cities and towns. That's what I've done for this governor. It is what I did for the president. And so all those skills are relevant for the next governor because we cannot view the governor's office as being sort of a hammer to a nail, right? That, oh, the governor says this and this has to happen. Our cities are too diverse. Our gateway cities have different needs. The challenges we face, think about climate change, are not ones that are going to be solved by any particular agency. So I bring an attitude about government, essentially, and about harnessing all the different parts of our state that are committed to moving forward.
So let's drill down on where you stand on the issues, and given that we are in the public safety space, talk to us about your outlooks, your views, your approach to public safety.
So one of the major issues that I have brought to this campaign and why Democrats are talking about it now is criminal justice reform, because I believe that not only are we sort of so far behind other states, and it is a fiscal burden, as you know, I believe that there are innovations being done by our sheriffs like you and others that need to be sort of addressed by state government, need to be adopted by state government. And so we can, as a state, put fewer people into jail, make the experience of corrections about corrections, workforce development, like what you're doing, workforce development, education, and then reduce recidivism. And if we can do all of that and learn from you and other states, we will have solved a major economic, a major moral challenge for our state. And look, I mean, I don't have to tell you this. We've generations of essentially minority men have lost the opportunity to be engaged with our society, whether it is because they're in jail or because they can't vote or because we've neglected their capacity for crimes that are often could be addressed through other means.
So this is what gets under my skin. You look at it this way. 85% of the folks that are in my facilities are there because of some involvement with drugs. 42% have presented with some form of mental illness. What we're talking about consistently is the need to have more diversionary programs, more beds for detox, more beds for mental health. How would you get that done as governor? You
would take away the prison construction budget You would move the prison construction budget, which is anticipated to be $1 billion by 2020, and begin to move it towards resources that get fewer men and women into jail. So whether it's diversionary courts, drug treatment courts, veterans courts. When I was the Homeland Security Advisor, I oversaw the National Guard. The obligation we have for our veterans is something that no governor can ignore. And one of them is too many of them are entering the criminal justice system for the same kind of mental PTSD and other issues related to the war. So, and you divert them from the criminal justice system so that our prisons are actually able to deal with crime and men and women who commit real crimes and should be punished. We're so used to thinking, oh, the system doesn't work, right? And therefore we have to be harsher. No, the system doesn't work because we're too harsh, because we're solving all of society's wrongs by throwing everyone into jail. If we could fix that, then we could reserve prison for either punishment or corrections.
It's baffling to me that this nation, the most powerful, the most affluent, some say, incarcerates more of its citizens.
China.
Than the top 2 or 3. It's just, it's unconscionable that we do that. And when you talk about black and brown boys and men, so at $46,000 annually to incarcerate one person, we have on any given day 1,800. You're not only, it's not only just offensive to society because we're spending that much money to incarcerate, but when you take mom or dad out of the family unit, there's no wonder that kids of the incarcerated are more likely to offend, because you really do, I believe, you do need mom and dad there. I mean, there's really that balance there. And, on Sunday afternoon, kids should be in the park playing with mom and dad, not coming visiting, to a correction facility to see mom or dad in a jumpsuit living in a 6x9 box.
We've destabilized entire communities because of this, under some belief that it's better for them, right? Because, we're taking criminals off the street. It's a ridiculous way to view it. We know it's not working, and yet we keep doing the same thing because an entire system is sort of focused on this law and order notion. And it's people like you who are in the system who are saying, this is no way to have successful corrections, but let alone, this is no way Massachusetts should be, and we can look to other states and learn.
But watch this. Interestingly enough, it's some of the red states that are leading the way on that, principally because of the cost.
It is.
Not necessarily because they don't want to incarcerate, but it costs too much to incarcerate, and so they're saying, let's not. Let's not do that because it just costs too much.
It just costs too much. And so that's great. This is a bipartisan issue. And one of the other reasons why red states can do it is because conservative Republican governors are never accused of being soft on crime. And this is why this has been a huge issue for me. I have spent a lot of my career in counterterrorism. I know bad. I know bad. The fact that I am a Democrat out there saying, you cannot call me soft on crime. You cannot call me weak. That we need Democrats, forceful, out there who can speak forcefully about what it means, the decisions that our party have also made, even by our silence, and this is where I differ from other candidates on my side of the aisle. It's just you cannot look at the system and say, let's keep it. And it has to be fixed for the economic reasons, but also because of the generations of men.
The human cost. The human cost.
And then the voting issue, too.
Exactly. And I want to go to, because I want to talk to you about the voting. I want to talk to you about civics and the need for civics in school. Because without civics, I grew up in New York City, they called it social studies. But without that, you don't really have a good, clear understanding of community, how government works with community, and the power of the vote. But talk to me about schools. Where do you stand on education?
Well, my commitment to education stems from the fact I have 3 kids, and all of them entered public school in pre-K. I'm a strong proponent of universal pre-K, not simply for the needs of the individual child, but also if you actually think about economic growth for the state, this is where we are going to sort of bridge the divide that we all complain about today, as well as make gateway cities throughout the state very appealing to the middle class. This is what the gateway cities need. They need middle class to move back into the gateway cities. And then I'm also very focused on workforce development on the other end. We tend to focus on 0 through 5. As a governor, I look at the gap between the jobs that we need and the jobs that will come here and stay here and our workforce needs. And there is a gap, and we can close it with bigger focus on vocational technical training, on community colleges, on what's called the the dual enrollment that you see in Brockton, where high school students can enroll in community colleges. It keeps them invested, and because if we don't get our students invested in the economy that they will own in the future, they will be unemployed, and then all the systemic problems that you and I were just talking about, or the companies will leave.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of vocational education. I'm old enough to remember when they were just straight vocational high schools. That's changed over the years. I'm not sure why, but that's changed over the years. But in New York City, we had the high school of automotive, printing, and the like.
And these are great jobs.
Exactly.
I mean,
the last time a carpenter came to my house, it cost a nice little. Okay, please.
I was at the Putnam School in Worcester, and there was a class of girl welders. They were like 6-year-old girls.
Really?
They were so cool, and I my team could not get me out of the room. I'm like, oh, what? But I mean, these are jobs that are paying $40,000 or $50,000 for an 18, and 19 to 20-year-old. Union jobs, jobs that increase our workforce. I was offered training in underwater scuba welding for port stuff. So maybe if don't trust me, I'm not. I'm not that brave. I'm not that brave. But these are jobs that are great jobs, sustainable, and they are part of what will make Massachusetts more prepared for a global economy. And that's how the next governor has to be thinking. And look, I mean, this campaign is about the future. It is not about the past. And we really do have to view, whether it's income inequality or jobs or infrastructure, the challenges we have today, we have to view them as opportunities for the future. And that's what I do. I mean, our infrastructure and infrastructure investments we need today are to grab that global economy, whether it's at our ports or it's manufacturing out west. So that's how I think about sort of leadership as well as the state.
One last question on education. When you come down on charter schools?
I am for lifting the cap, if that's what the particular mayors want. As we know, that's a debate within certain communities. So long as charter schools are sharing what they've learned with public schools, that was the reason for them. As so long as they don't have a capacity to sort of divert any student that's difficult out, including those with disabilities, and that they live up to their obligation, which is we're giving you public funds because the innovation and experiences that you can provide other students are those that might be utilized by the public school system. That is what started the charter school movement, and we sort of are lost in this debate with forks and knives at each other, when really the debate should be about our children. My kids in public school, it is about the teachers and what they're learning and their capacity to pivot, to be able to teach a variety of children with diverse backgrounds. And it is about our kids and them being capable of grasping and owning the Massachusetts of the future. That's how we should think about education.
Talk to me about business. I'm curious as to where you stand on one. How do you grow businesses coming into the Commonwealth, and then how do you keep the existing businesses from leaving?
So those are two great questions. So here's how I think about the competition. I, in my jobs, have been to 44 other states. We are in a competition with them. So how do I think about that competition? I think about it in terms of human resources and infrastructure. a commitment to our workforce, whether it's unions and supporting unions, because it's that is what makes us strong, education, workforce development, immigration, our new residents, and getting them to the table. That is what makes the state exciting, the most welcoming state, and that gives people the resources to grab these companies. It is also about infrastructure. It may be because I've been in crisis management that I see what happens to societies when their infrastructure crumbles. But our commitment to infrastructure is about being business friendly. It is about luring businesses here that can compete in a global economy, whether it's our maritime community, our manufacturing communities. So in terms of the competition, which I'm obviously excited about because I know we can win it, right, and growing, that is how I think about companies, getting companies here. I obviously worry because I do hear about it, about whether state government makes it too hard for companies to come here, so streamlining those issues. We've seen it done in Devens and other areas in the state where you can actually streamline the certification processes. Got to make government work for grabbing those companies, and I'm committed to that. In terms of the industries that are here, it is about supporting them. Most of them are, or a lot of them are minority and women-owned, small businesses. It is about making sure that they don't get drowned out by healthcare costs. It means that they have people who can work those jobs, so it's workforce development. And it is a commitment to, it's not rocket science, it's a commitment to whether there's affordable housing, whether there's strong transportation, and whether there's schools that can educate their children, right? These small employers, and that is something that we have to view as necessary for the future.
Okay, but now let's look at like the Liberty Mutuals and the Fidelities and the big companies here. Where do you come down on tax breaks and the like to keep those companies and those jobs here?
So I actually, it's not necessarily those companies. One of the one of the proposals that I have, because I think it's important, and I'm unique in this regard, is a green bank. And why do I propose this? Which is that as a state, we say to each other and to the outside world, look, renewable energy is the wave of the future. It's good for the earth, and we in Massachusetts are really, really good at it. We've got universities, we've got people who install solar panels, we've got all sorts of, from low income to high income, we can satisfy this industry. We want you here, outside world. So you provide a number of economic incentives. And yes, they would include tax breaks, but they include streamlining the ability to start a business here. They include other incentives in terms of luring these companies here. Why do I want to do this? New York and Connecticut are doing it. And, if I'm governor of Massachusetts, I don't want to look around and think, God, I could have captured an industry that went to my neighbors who aren't as good at it as I should be. So I am committed to that. Any tax break, though, has to be coupled with what's the clawback provisions? That government has to be able to assess whether the obligation of the company is being satisfied, and when it's not, you get that money back. And that was some of the challenges with previous tax breaks.
So you mentioned New York and Connecticut. I'm going to mention Connecticut and Rhode Island, and I'm going to tie that to the casinos.
Yes.
Do you think because those two, our bordering states, have casinos, that the Commonwealth should have casinos?
Well, I would like nothing more to generate a lot of revenue for this state, and my focus has been on growth and economics through either changing the criminal justice system or obviously luring companies here. But I am not for the casino repeal if we go that route. Partially, it has to just do with being a person who's been at day one with this governor as well as nearly day one with the president. There are obligations we have. There are expectations with the casinos now regarding where we're putting those investments. About 80 million or 100 million dollars are already coming through the casino certification process that are being invested in community colleges and public safety. And I just think it's, if every year we're debating an issue that maybe we should just resolve and then get it to work, may be a better tactic. So part of it is just the reality of what day one looks like, even though I would love other revenue sources. So what I'd be committed to as governor is to ensure that the rigorous legislation that we do have is completely enforced. I mean, we are a very tough state, and that should make us proud as regards casinos. We have a very rigorous oversight body. We max out at 3 casinos, and we have community involvement. And as
Very
you're seeing,
transparent
right, as you're
process.
seeing with the mayor right now, with the mayor of Boston, that we shouldn't view that as the system's broken. We should actually view it as democracy, right? That is how it's going to move forward. So that's how I think about casinos, but I'm always open to alternative sources of revenue and more revenue so that we can commit to schools and workforce development and infrastructure investments. That's all we want.
So let me ask you about this, about infrastructure, because a lot of legislative bodies have been, I don't know, dare I say, remiss to put the money that is necessary into rebuilding the infrastructure, be it roads or bridges, so on and so forth.
Right.
How would you as governor get this legislative body to really get their collective heads and arms around doing that? Because we do need to do it.
We do need to, and part of it is politics. I work a lot with the gateway mayors through this campaign. So part of it is getting their voices to the table, because sometimes on Beacon Hill, it's easy to forget that there are all these communities that are saying one thing, which is we need regional transportation authorities to work, we need our infrastructure to work, to actually get back to like sort of economic strength. So part of it is opening the table to have other political voices besides it being Beacon Hill. The second is, you know, we did get a couple $100,000 for infrastructure investments, and so maybe we need to think about also creative ways to fund infrastructure. So I've proposed public-private infrastructure bank. It's being used in other states. So the private sector invest in an infrastructure that matters to them. So think about the maritime community and our ports. And then they have sort of a shared capacity in terms of investment, but also in terms of tolls and fees and taxes that are regrouped. It's worked in other states, and I would be very, very receptive to thinking through that, to creative ways to fund these important investments. But this is something I will push, because I can't, this is about the future, preparing Massachusetts for the future that our children, not you and I, our children are going to inherit. And I can't do that without an infrastructure that is going to be stronger for a global economy. And it includes great changes that, you know, that the mayor is making. That late night tea service is, I mean, that's not infrastructure, but it's about transportation, is about a city that is on global time. And that is fantastic.
Unfortunately, we've only had a couple of minutes left, and I'm about to ask you a big question, so I'm going to ask you to try to get it into about 60 or 90 seconds. Healthcare.
Yes.
And Obamacare and the whole dust up around this whole discussion about healthcare. I mean, I don't know. It seems to me that we need this to happen, and if we tried to pass Medicaid or Medicare or get interstate highways done now in this political climate, no, in this political climate, we could never do it. What do you think? Well, talk to me about healthcare.
Fix the website. It's as simple as that. We don't go back. We'll get a waiver from the Affordable Care Act. We don't move forward to another regime that we can't even be at, like single payer. Get the website fixed, because 98% of our people will have coverage. Children up to the age of 26 will have coverage. And shame on us. I mean that as Democrats for having a wonderful idea about universal health care coverage in a way that people accepted, and not getting the website right. So fix the darn website, then get to cost controls, right? So through delivery, it's essentially delivery services and buttressing community health centers. And then, where my focus would be on public health. That when I look at the numbers and the burdens on our public health system and on our health system, it is diabetes, it is obesity, it is heart issues. And if we can raise a new generation of people who, believe in composting and believe in eating healthy and believe in walking and running and biking places, that we can take a lot of burdens off the healthcare system, and want to do that. So that's how I think about it. But fix the darn website, and that has to be a commitment.
If folks want more information about you and your campaign, how do they get that information?
So www.JulietteKayyem, KAYYEM.com. And we have lots of information on our website, lots of materials, ideas about the future of Massachusetts. And so I welcome them to join us.
Well, listen, it's been a
Thank you.
pleasure having you here. We wish you Godspeed.
Okay.
You know, and I know we'll see you out there.
We're everywhere.
You're campaigning. Everybody's
I know
out
you're
there.
campaigning too.
But, you know, it's kind of like this beauty contest because we're all like piled into a room, and then we all have to go.
I call it. I know it's speed dating. It's speed dating.
It is.
You know, it is.
It
And
is.
there's you know the gubernatorial candidates. It's like speed dating. So
It is.
anyway, but it's been a pleasure getting to know you, and thank you for this opportunity.